initially I thought this was going to be me and my buddy House. We were just going to talk about the USA blowout win over Serbia and then bring in DeBundo to talk football. And then all of a sudden, it became a game. We had to bring in Mahoney.
Wow.
He's here as well. I don't know where to start, but it really felt like they were going to lose this game at one point. And the Team USA has these every 4 years. It happened in 08 against Spain. It happened in 12 against Spain. It happened in 16, I think, in the semifinals. But you always know there's one of these coming. I thought it was going to be France in France Saturday with the crowd and all that stuff. But Jokic and Bogdanovic had other ideas. Mahoney, where do you want to start? Do you want to go Embiid's maybe greatest moment?
Yeah.
In his basketball career? Do you want to go the Steph Curry moment that we talked about literally 2 days ago? Like, whoa, we know it's in there, but will we see it? Or do you want to talk LeBron big boy game, just putting on the biceps and the chest and just ripping through Serbia? You pick. What topic?
I think we might be able to merge the latter two, right? The Lions of Team USA have fully arrived. We got the Steph game we've been waiting for, as you said, and Jesus Christ, did Team USA need it? Honestly, for as much as we've been talking about, the 08 team or the 92 team, all these like cross Olympic comparisons for Team USA, a lot of this game felt a lot like 04, where USA was getting destroyed, trying to guard pick and roll, completely flummoxed by a zone, and settling for a lot of shots. Just awful execution in ways that feel very familiar for underperforming American teams past.
And some weird coaching too. It's just a lot of lineups and a lot of subs. And it was like he never stuck with 5 guys for more than it felt like 90 seconds.
Yeah. But the one through line was Steph was on fire and was the only reason they even had a chance to come back in this game at all.
House, what's your big takeaway from that? Are you feeling patriotic? Were you thinking about your France 15-1 bet at any point and thinking about rooting for Jokic? Were you waiting for somebody to step up on Team USA and then it happened? What? Walk me through your second half.
Well, in the first place, I'm exhausted. I need not just one cigarette, but 2, because I'm all fucked out from that one. They put me through the ringer. I will say, from a narrative standpoint, how beautiful that you get Steph and LeBron and KD, right? KD came out, looked like a clunker, but started making the biggest of big buckets in the second half. And this team, we all knew, you guys talked about it, was susceptible to somebody coming in and raining threes on them. And the challenge is that communication out on the perimeter. They just switched terribly for 3/4 of the game. Now, the boys from Serbia were lighting the basket on fire. They finished under 40% from 3 because they didn't make any in the fourth quarter. And they didn't make any in the fourth quarter because when it's winning time and you're on the biggest stage, everybody, gets a little bit, the tiniest bit, because a couple of those looks were wide open for the Serbians, right?
I'm so glad you brought that up. They were, because I was taking notes as the game was going along. It was 76-61, I think. And there was a 4-point play by Guduric, remember? And it just looked bleak. But at the end of the third quarter, they were 15 for 29 from 3. They ended 15 for 39. 0 for 10 from 3. I love Olympic basketball so much for the moments because the hierarchy, and we'll talk about Tatum later. We've got the DMP, but the hierarchy and who the 3 or 4 guys are. I talked about this before the tournament, and it just felt like they were giving LeBron the car keys, so he was clearly one. And you knew Curry was going to be out there because of the trust with Kerr. And then the question was, who's the third guy? And Embiid looked out of shape in the exhibition games, and it just didn't seem like he was going to be reliable. And I thought it was going to be Davis was going to be the third guy. But man, Embiid had, I think, my favorite stretch of basketball he's ever played. And if you're going to make the case for Philadelphia to be a 2025 title team, it's like, does this guy have this in him? And I honestly wasn't sure. I think this was the happiest I've ever been after an Embiid game, Mahoney. I know he's done it in regular season spots. He's done it in earlier in the playoff series type of spots, but I feel like he needed what happened today more than anyone else on the team.
it also seemed like the most emotional and emotive he's ever been, right? Like, he was into this game. He wanted those moments so badly. I've never seen him react the way he reacted when he walled up Jokic in the post and forced the travel, forced a turnover. Huge, monster play. And the fact that so much of the offense was running through him down the stretch is a mystifying thing, given the way that these Olympics have started for him, given the way he's played in so many of these games. But you're right that when these moments come, the ball kind of finds its place, and it found itself in the hands of LeBron more often than not. He was dictating a lot of the action, and with Embiid in the middle of the floor, attacking, finding little pockets, getting to his pull-up jumper, all the stuff that won him the MVP and makes him such a dominant NBA player, but that we haven't seen for the last 2.5 weeks. And so for all of that to finally come together for him, and it wasn't a perfect game, he was certainly as guilty as anyone as far as why USA was in the hole to begin with. Like, what he wasn't doing defensively in terms of stepping up to the level was a problem. Him giving up defensive rebounds down the stretch, or what were offensive rebounds for Serbia, huge issue. But he also came up with every huge fucking bucket when they needed it. And that's all you can really ask of a guy like that.
Yeah, I wrote down 78-67, 8 minutes left. Jokic got a layup. Jokic is doing all the tricks at this point, and he wasn't shooting that great, but he's doing his little inbounds trick where it's like the ball's bouncing for 3-4 seconds. He's throwing it to the ref to buy 2-3 more seconds. And it was just, he felt like the cagiest guy on the floor. And it felt like USA was moving toward a little hero ball where it was like, okay, do I have to do it? And I was thinking they were going to lose, and LeBron was just going to go into, I'll decide this either way, and miss some threes, and that was it. There's a 6-point play with 7 minutes left where KD hits the three. Jokic either pushes AD into KD or AD pulls himself with Jokic. Hard to say what happened. And also amazing that KD didn't like have a season-ending injury because he had a guy falling into his knees as shooting. Makes the three, fourth foul on Jokic. And then the USA gets the ball back and Booker hits the three. And we went from 78-67 to 78-73. And now it's like, oh, okay. Here we go. This is what we're doing. But the Embiid part you're talking about, he scored 7 straight, had a huge block, and got it to 84-82, leading to the LeBron lefty layup. House, what did you see? Because I agree with Rob. There were some deficiencies there with the defensive rebounding. They were definitely attacking him and Steph in the first half. But on the other hand, it was the most engaged two-way, I want to be the dominant guy, Embiid. And I'm sure Jokic was a piece of it. He's playing with LeBron and dudes like that. But man, I kind of needed to see that from him. Where'd you stand?
I'm over the top, glass half full on everything I saw out of Embiid. You know, when he did the up and under, the up fake, Joker bit, and then he went right to the hole. He got the flush. He landed. He rolled over. And I put on the Twitter machine. That to me was like the most impressive bucket of his entire basketball career. Because I mean, yes, hyperbole, yes, prisoner of the moment, but name me another game that Joel Embiid's played in with higher stakes. The stakes were at the highest.
2 game sevens against Toronto in 2019.
Right. Yes.
And then the Celtics game 7 in Boston when they just got smacked, and then the Atlanta game when Ben Simmons murdered them. Those were the 3 biggest games he's ever played.
And he's going up against the Joker, his MVP foil. I mean, I wish this game was 80 minutes. I enjoyed it. I wish we had 4 20-minute quarters. That's how much I was enjoying it. But he was up to the task. He deserved to be on the floor for that last 7 minutes.
Right.
He was a full-on badass. There was no question about it. And kudos to Kerr for falling on his ass and finding out of desperation the right lineup at the end of the game, for Christ's sakes.
Well, so Mahoney and I talked about what the best lineups that we had seen were. And this Curry, it was basically Curry, Drew, Booker, LeBron, and AD. And then in the last 2 minutes, they took Drew out, put KD in for him. And that turned out to be the lineups. I don't know if we mentioned that lineup, Mahoney, when we talked about lineups we liked the most. Because I think Kerr really wanted the defense.
Yes.
But a couple issues happened. Edwards, who I think we all love, the moment seemed a little big for him today. And he missed wide open shots, and he was turning the ball over. And I think what they thought they were going to get from him in this game, it just wasn't there. And I think by the second half, they realized that.
Which I think is a good thing that he realized it, right?
Right.
I was a little worried coming into the Olympics with Ant is he going to try to take a moment that isn't his? Is he going to try to rise to the occasion? Because we know the confidence is there. We know the game is generally there. He just didn't quite have it in this one. And this is exactly the sort of weird, atypical defensive look that gave him trouble in the playoffs too. You know, a slightly different NBA zone in that situation. But you could see him passing it up to KD, trying to get the ball out of his hands, find his spot on the wing, and let these other guys go to work.
Yeah, and then the KD piece of it, because he didn't really get going either, but that the game was so disjointed in the first half. But 93-91, so under 40 seconds left. Joker has a quick two. USA needs a bucket, and it's so funny how this happens in the Olympics. And I remember this happened in 2008 when they're all looking at each other, and then Kobe's like, "I got this, guys." It's kind of who's going to step up. And KD had the ball at the top, 28 feet away, and somebody's going to send him pick, and he's waving the dude off. He's like, "I'm fucking Kevin Durant. I'm one of the best 16 players of all time. I'm the best scoring forward ever. And guess what? I'm going to score on this dude right now," and puts up a 20-footer. So it's funny. He wasn't the 3 stars of the game, but in a lot of ways, it was one of the great KD moments. Like he has those 2 threes against Cleveland in 17 and 18. He's had obviously a million great moments over his career. He's the foot on his line shot against Brooklyn that could have won them the series and misses by 6 inches. But I'm always going to remember that one, House. That was I will put on the big boy pants for us right now jumper. And it wasn't an easy one. It was a 20-footer with a hand in his face.
Well, again, if you're a narrative lover, it makes sense because he just jumped over Lisa Leslie for the all-time Olympic scorer for the United States team. So, like, if you're just wanting to put a bow on the KD Olympic legacy, that shot made a whole lot of sense. And I really just reveled in seeing LeBron and Curry and KD's second half, because man, it took a while for him to get cooking. I was nervous. I'm glad I didn't fire off anything to you guys about, God damn it, get KD out of there, because I was certainly feeling that way. I was feeling it, but I resisted the urge, and by God, he came through, because he is our Olympic hero.
Well, the other thing, Mahoney, so I'm watching the game. My wife does the classic, comes home with 3 minutes left, which is just been a staple of our 26 years together. Comes home, has a story to tell me, and I'm kind of like, hey, hold on, I got to do a podcast after. But I've learned over the years how to manage that one. And she's like, oh, I didn't realize. And so she sits down knowing nothing. First question was, why is this so close? And she hasn't watched 1 minute of Olympic basketball, but she watches the rest of the game. And she's going, wow, this is so cool that all these guys are out there together. And it was like, I was like, that's going to be the best part of my podcast. Because we forget we've been immersed in Olympic basketball for weeks, but ultimately it's like, hey, you know what's fucking cool? KD and Curry and LeBron and Embiid and, you know, some of the best guys in the league all out there at the exact same time.
Joker, for Christ's sake.
And
absolutely.
Going against Joker and a bunch of Serbians who were like out of their mind could not have been more excited to be there.
And every big play down the stretch that Team USA made, it's not just one of those stars making it, but another one enabling it. It's Curry curling around an Embiid screen for a go-ahead 3. When LeBron hit that lefty layup to go ahead, it was because KD brought the ball up, and you could see in his eyes he wanted that left wing pull-up 3 so bad. And the timing just was a little bit off, and he bailed and kicked it to LeBron and set up that play. There's a precursor for all those, where one of these stars is helping the other one, which means, guess what? You're playing like an actual basketball team.
Yeah. Well, and then the Curry piece. So,
good Lord.
On the one hand, you could say he kept him in there. On the other hand, he was part of the defensive disaster that was happening in the first half. But he was hitting shots, and the swagger came back, which we have just not seen. And I made a joke near the end of the Tuesday podcast about Lauri Markkanen decided to reject the Golden State trade. And Mahoney was like, oh, too soon. Like he reacted like it was like some terrible
visceral response.
Yeah. He really did. It was like I had punched you. But that was the old school Curry. And what was really cool, he was flying around. I mean, this was like old school 14, 15, 16 era Curry, where when he's going so fast, it feels like he's kind of levitating above. So you had that piece. I what did he have? 8 threes, 36 points?
9 threes. But here's the important thing, to your point, the point you just made, 8 rebounds. The dude was flying around. He was around the basket. That was the key. It was huge.
And with that said, we've praised Curry and Embiid. I think LeBron was the MVP of this game.
Oh, you like the triple-double?
I like the triple-double, and there was a couple big boy moments here where he was just like, I've been doing this for 20 years. I know how these games go. I'm going to the basket. I'm going as hard as I possibly can. I'm one of the greatest athletes of all time. I'll probably be able to pull up a layup. I might be able to get fouled, but I'm just going to trust this 2-decade process I've had of good things happen when I just attack. There was no hesitation at all. There was like serene confidence. And, I've been in the camp of like, I don't know if he's one of the top 10 players in the world anymore. I don't think we're talking from an NBA standpoint. He's hurt, 20 games of the season. His team hasn't succeeded though. And then there's the other side was like, no, he's definitely still one of the 5 best guys. Like, what are you saying? You're crazy. This was an absolute resume statement of like, throw out the playoff results the last 2 years. This is still one of the guys. What'd you see, Mahoney?
Well, as far as big boy moments go, the biggest of boy moments is LeBron basically saying down the stretch, I'm guarding Nikola Jokic. Like he was the one in the post battling him, fighting him off spots. And they were doing a lot of that so they could switch more pick and roll action.
And use Embiid as a rover and all
totally.
That stuff. Yeah.
And that's the reason that works is because LeBron is up for that challenge. It's just, I hear your point about where he is in the NBA hierarchy. I think it's totally fair to think of him as someone kind of on the borderline of that top 10 range in terms of what he can produce, right? In terms of the actual offense that he himself generates. But in a moment
he's been 2 third-team All-NBAs in a row. Like there's just anecdotal evidence. Yes. Like, hey, it's maybe not there anymore.
Age, injury, the way he needs to pace himself in the regular season a little bit, what he is on defense in some regular season games. Those are all valid parts of his resume at this point. But in terms of control in these moments and who you want dictating terms, he's still that guy. He's still, if not the number one option, Jokic certainly is as good at that as anybody. He has to be up there with everybody. Like he is so incredible at understanding the stakes of every possession in close games and understanding exactly where the ball needs to go. And not every star can do that. Even the most transcendent athletes can't always find that exact happy medium that he seems to.
Yeah, it's the Gladwell 10,000 hours house. When he was going against Jokic and there'd been some bad blood I don't know what Bogdanovich was so mad about. Because the announcers were like, he's yelling at Carmelo again. And they was like, could you guys give us like some context what's happening? Because Bogdanovich is the maddest guy in the entire Olympics. Even more mad than the guy who hit his dick on the pole vote and ended up knocking the pole vote thing off.
It might work okay for him.
Yeah. Yes, long term, that guy's doing great.
Great dong job.
But when LeBron was battling with Jokic, I was like, man, it would be really fun here if this got even a little more heated, because Jokic has won 3 MVPs in 4 years. He's beaten LeBron 2 years in a row. And I was like, how far is this going to escalate? Poor Jokic is going against, he's got LeBron guarding him. He's also Embiid. Oh, and then we're going to throw Davis and we're going to throw Bam at you. It's like, talk about the all-time gauntlet. He missed some threes. His threes just haven't been here in the Olympics. It's been that, and teams are giving them to him. But it was fun to watch him battle. What'd you see from LeBron House?
Well, I mean, we did say at the outset of the tournament that there's a reason he was leading the odds to win MVP of this tournament. I like that investment that we made there.
Well,
I hope a lot of
now that's almost a lock. He'd have to go what 0 for 15 in the gold medal game to not get that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the circumstances would be, but the most impressive thing is the age. Like, you said 10,000 hours. The homie's at 200,000 hours. I mean, he's the greatest lifetime performer the game of basketball has ever seen. He is unparalleled. And still, the two things to me that jumped off were the combination of basketball IQ and poise, both of which translated into like, we're not losing. We're not going to lose. I'm not going to permit us to lose. And I will say that I, sitting and watching, at no point felt like we were going to lose. Now, sometimes
I felt 8 minutes left. I genuinely thought they were going to lose. Yeah. I felt like it was falling apart.
Well, I was in the live betting markets looking lustily at a lot of the plus odds for the U.S. And I
What
did
were the
get
odds?
down
Were
a
they
couple.
were they plus when they were down 11, 8 minutes left?
They were down plus 230. Yeah, you could get plus 230. I'm too slow. I have fat fingers, so I only got plus 205 at one point in there.
Wow.
But yeah, the thing is, ultimately Serbia, all credit to them, they're like one guy short, which is not a knock.
Right.
I mean, they were there for 37 of the 40 minutes, and then the U.S. did what it did with the depth of talent and took care of it right at the end.
Yeah, I was gonna get mad at the Serbia coach because they ran out of timeouts, because I wanted them to call a timeout and they didn't have any timeouts. But I thought when they called all the timeouts were the right spots for the timeouts. You just don't necessarily get enough of them. One point on LeBron, I was thinking, you go back to where he was in 08 and 09 and 2010 and 2011, which feels like a fucking lifetime ago. Like we hadn't even started. We started Grantland during the 2011 finals, right? Which was like the lowest moment of his career. And some of the raps with him at the time were, when it comes to nut crunch time, you can really see him feeling it. He's not strong enough. He loses command of what to do in big moments. And not only is all that stuff gone, but now it's flipped in the complete opposite way, where he's hit that same point that Kobe definitely hit in 08 in the Olympics. Jordan obviously was always there in the 90s. KD, you can feel it at least offensively, but these certain guys where you're just like, we're probably going to lose unless, and it's like, you start looking around and it's like, who do you completely trust? Who do we feel good here? And I just can't believe LeBron still has that in him at age 40. It's now into that Brady mid 2010s kind of like, how is this still happening? This doesn't make, like Brady, not to compare it to Brady coming back from 28-3 against Atlanta, but there was a moment there where it's like, how is he still doing this? And then he wins the Super Bowl with Tampa, and you're like, how the fuck is this still happening? This shouldn't happen for basketball players.
No.
What LeBron's doing. Like you shouldn't be able to go coast to coast with the same kind of speed you had 14, 15 years ago. But that his athletic ability at age 40 was one of the reasons they won the game. It wasn't just the smarts. Like he big boyed these guys.
And, he doesn't have the top of the square vertical that he used to have. He doesn't have necessarily the end-to-end breakneck speed, but body control, coordination, all the stuff that leads you to go from a dead sprint into a soft-ass finger roll. He has all those things still. He has all of that at his command. It's incredible to watch him at this point. I love watching him with this team, and I'm glad we got this moment with real stakes. I'm glad. You may have been confident. I was Googling, like, how do I get Serbian citizenship? Like, I'm ready to flip. I thought this thing was done. And so to watch, even with being as confident in LeBron's abilities as I am, I didn't know that he and these guys had quite this in them to come back from that kind of deficit when they just hadn't played well all game. And they found it exactly when they needed to.
Yeah, the combination. Go ahead.
I was 90% rooting for USA having a heart attack. 3% thinking about our France bet, just because on the 20-year anniversary of us winning Argentina 10-1, I couldn't help but think about that. And then my love for Jokic, who's my favorite non-Celtic other than Curry. It was weird. Jokic won the Curry head-to-head battle for non-Celtics I love the most.
For your heart.
I just love Jokic. And he made a couple of plays when he's just being double, triple teamed. They're just beating the shit out of him. And he's doing like Jokic stuff and getting shots off. I was like, man, if this guy pulls this off, this would be just incredible. Him beating this team with Bogdanovich, Micic, who's like Charlotte's 13th man, and then a bunch of guys I've never heard of, and they're going to beat what I think is the most talented Olympic team we've had in 32 years. All right, so we talked about lineups in previous podcasts here, and how when you have a game like this, the lineups, they shorten, the rotation shorten. You have fourth quarters where maybe 6 guys play, and some guys end up being losers. And the box scores I've seen, they don't have all the official minutes yet, but Bam didn't play nearly as much. Derek White didn't play nearly as much. Ant lost a bunch of minutes. KD seemed like he lost some minutes. And then the big one was Tatum didn't play. And we talked on Tuesday about why Tatum probably wouldn't play in this game, especially if it was close, because his shot has betrayed him. I find it hard to believe he's going to play in 2028 now. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
On like, you think he will not elect to show
I have
up?
no inside information at all.
Okay.
I'm just saying that when you're making hard choices like this, I think there's going to be ramifications down the line, would be my guess.
I feel like you're daring the aggregators now. You're just dangling the bait.
I just said I have no inside information whatsoever.
That's not going to stop anybody.
This is now an
embarrassing
tournament for Tatum. I
No,
just
it's
don't see him
not.
playing again.
It's not embarrassing.
He was top 5 All-NBA 3 years in a row. He just won the title. He's literally not playing in these games. So
let me ask you this question. If he was on the floor in place of LeBron or Kevin Durant, do you think that they would have pulled off this game?
I don't. Not the way he's shooting.
Well, the problem is now it's too late. Like, you needed him to have been worked into these rotations and for him to understand what his role and contribution was going to be 7 games ago, right? In the friendlies, like getting big minutes and getting big minutes with these guys.
I said on Tuesday I didn't think he was going to play in this game.
So
but
now
I just wonder, there's going to be bad blood with some of this stuff. I'll be really interested to see how it plays out.
They're going to come out with the biggest olive branch possible, because this is it. This is it for Curry. This is it for Durant. And this is it for LeBron. So it is going to be a team that very well could be led by Jason Tatum because of the group that's on the team right now. He's the to me the sort of natural leader coming out. I mean, it's
but so that would be the argument. Maybe you sprinkle a couple minutes in, but the thing is, Kerr's not going to worry about 2028, right? You lose any of these games, and it's on your permanent record. And I was getting a bunch of texts just in the first half, like, what the fuck are these rotations? What's he doing?
So it was a Steve Kerr game, is what you're saying.
Well, it was, I mean, he definitely looked like he was grasping for straws in a lot of ways, but I'll be interested to see how it plays out. It's pretty significant that the biggest game that this country has played in 3 years and a DMP for Tatum, but I also don't know whose minutes he would have taken. I can't think of a single player he should have played in front of.
Well, and think about the gold medal game. If it had been Germany in front of them, Tatum would be a great Franz Wagner antidote. As it stands, I can't believe I'm saying this. Is he the Gershon Yabusele answer?
Ooh, I love it.
Gershon Yabusele answer.
The fact you need an answer to the questions that Yabusele presents. What a time to be alive. But honestly, like, as far as, burly forwards who are going to be able to combat his size, like LeBron is a great answer there, Durant too, but Tatum could be another guy that they throw out, whether it's Yabusele, whether it's Lasor, like, they're going to need forward physicality from somewhere. It can't all be guards and bigs. Like, that range of players is going to have to be really important for Team USA.
Yeah, the rebounding today, they had 33 rebounds total, and LeBron and Curry had 20 of the 33. I'm not sure how they diagrammed that before the game. That's where, like, the fact that Tatum isn't shooting well, I think really has hurt this team, because fundamentally he is like one of the missing pieces that they need, because he's such a good defender and he's got size and he can rebound, and theoretically he should be able to spread the floor. You saw over and over again in both halves, they were leaving somebody open and hoping they weren't going to make threes. And it was Edwards for a little while. They're never trying to leave KD open, but they were leaving Bam open. They let the Booker, go ahead, knock yourself out. And Booker, by the way, I think is a big winner of this tournament, as we talked about before. He was out there for them in some pretty big moments. So he ended up playing 24 minutes. Bam only played 10. Davis only played 10. So Davis was the one who probably lost the most minutes out of what we would have thought, because Embiid ended up 27 minutes and he was 8 for 11 from the field. So you guys are less pessimistic than me about the Tatum 2028 thing, because I do think that's going to be a possible storyline.
It's a complete rewrite. We're going to have a brand new team. It's going to be, some young guys maybe we haven't even considered at this point. It's going to be nothing like that, the team that's on the floor at the moment.
They just need a little classic American propaganda. How it was Tatum in a timeout, given an impassioned speech that rallied these guys, that really turned everything around. Like, you just need a little bit of background narrative.
Well, at one point in the fourth quarter, he was the only guy who still had his warm-up on. I was like, just take the warm-up off so you fit in with the team photos better. Yeah, so you think like 4 years from now, LeBron's gone, Curry's gone, Durant's gone, and there's this new wave of. But by that time, like Cooper Flag might be ready. All this dude. So
right.
We're thinking ahead.
Now you're talking.
For Serbia, that's probably Jokic's best chance ever because he's going to be 4 years. God only knows where Jokic is 4 years from now. Is he still playing basketball? We have no idea. That's probably their best chance to win. Let's talk about France and how it ties into the United States game.
Incredible.
France beats Germany in what turned out to be an absolute rock fight. Wemby goes 4 for 17 and actually wins. And in the most important news, I'm back out on the Franz Wagner extension. I'm out. It's been another flip-flop.
It's been 2 days.
3 Franz Wagner extension flip-flops this summer. Seems too high now. I don't know if I like it.
Fraudulent Franz. I mean, there's a lot of names we can pull together here. That dude, I sent around to our group. What does he think he's in Cleveland? Does he think it's Game 7 in Cleveland again?
Yeah, that was harsh.
Show up. This
mean.
is the moment. This is the stage. You just got $250 million, homie. Show everybody what you're all about. And they let these French bangers suck the life out of them.
Is it May? I mean, we do have a new big three, right? Yabusele, Lesor,
yeah,
and
Cordier. Got to be Cordier.
Cordier.
The new big three, just banging bodies. I was looking at all their Basketball Reference, whatever stats they had in it, and Cordier doesn't hit threes, which I guess that's why he's not an NBA player. Lesor doesn't hit threes either, and it's just the type of guy we were texting during the game, like, what NBA player is he? Is he?
I thought he was Montrezl Harrell. I thought he was like a little strong.
Yeah.
Like Montrezl Harrell with more of like a low post, like drop step type game. So I guess there are guys that have, but it's just funny to watch them in this format and they just become superhuman. Here's where I'll start with the France game and how it ties to the U.S. though. The home court advantage was out of control. And if the U.S. thinks there was pressure and tension in the game today, just wait. Because we're going up a level. We're doing the Spinal Tap. We're going from 10 to 11. It's going up, and we got big bodies and all kinds of things going on. But what'd you see in that France game, Rob?
Well, one thing we talked about on Tuesday was Nick Batum again, pressuring full court, picking up guards, hounding guys. I don't know what the equivalent for that's going to be against Team USA because so much of it does run through LeBron. That's not really a guy you can press full court so easily as a smaller guard, but I just continue to be impressed with Batum in particular. Honestly, all the veteran guys for France kind of finding their roles within this new order. You know, Evan Fournier.
Even Rudy Gobert finding his role of waving a towel.
coming into rebound off of free throws. Look, he's a patriot. He's a true patriot.
Yes, that's right.
House, is Rudy eligible for the Ewing theory? Because he did play a couple minutes. But they're in France taking off the moment they decided to remove him from the rotation, and the fact that he's never won a championship, I think makes him Ewing theory eligible. So I'm going to say he counts.
It's a one-of-one career. A guy who has to be off the floor at the highest leverage moments. He just cannot be on the floor. Who's
won like 7 defensive players of the year and got traded for 5 first-round picks and a whole bunch of other shit.
Can't be on the floor. That French game plan in terms of just making it uncomfortable for Germany, because coming in, the handicap for me was Germany has the second most sophisticated half-court offense of any team in the tournament, and a lot of that is the comfort level of them playing together. They move well. There's a chemistry there. I had them behind the United States in terms of half-court offense because we can score from all 5 spots, but France just wouldn't let it happen. I mean, Germany got out to the lead that they got out to by running their half-court offense, and Franz showed up in the first quarter, not the one that's the end of the game, but the one at the beginning of the game he showed up for. And, they out-rebounded Germany after getting out-rebounded a week ago. They protected the ball a little bit better than
they handled
Germany.
The pressure that Mahoney and I were calling for in the last pod. They actually handled it.
Yeah. And forced turnovers. Like, Germany is not a high turnover team. They run very efficiently, and yet they were stymied and they looked frustrated and they looked like they couldn't get to their spots in terms of that execution that we've grown used to from them over these last couple of years.
German
Totally
Steve
agree.
Nash turned back into Dennis Schroeder. That was a subplot. I was surprised to see that. Listen, the Olympics, it's where I wrote down Fournier turns into a big game player.
Yep.
Yabusele turns into Charles Barkley. Cordonier turns into Andre Iguodala. Lesort turns into Farid on steroids, and Schrader becomes Steve Nash. Like, this is just for whatever reason what happens with this FIBA style. Weird guys change identities and turn into these different types of basketball players, which was so much fun about the U.S. Like, just LeBron, Curry, KD, and Embiid all playing like the hits basically. But
what has Jason Tatum turned into?
I have no comment.
Okay.
So Germany was in the first game, they beat the hell out of France when they played them earlier in the Olympics. They were 12 for 26 from three. In this game, they missed 19 of their first 26, and it was just a brick fest. I think what's crazy about this France win, Wemby goes 4 for 17. France was 6 for 27 from three at one point. It's not like that was like, it was the opposite of, oh, this is how you upset somebody. You shoot the lights out in the Olympics and your best player plays awesome. It wasn't like that at all, but their defense was awesome. House, you made a lot of Wemby jokes to me during the game. Where did we land ultimately with his performance in that game?
It's fine. I think this is like the appropriate seasoning of Wemby. He's a child, right? These are men. These are men playing banger basketball. Like, the difference offensively for France was that Yabusele and Lesort combined for 11 of 16, and all of those are paint points, right? That's it was man's basketball. And it was nice to see a couple times Wemby assert himself when he's like, hey, I'm right by the basket. I can dunk. I'm going to try and dunk. I would love to see a lot more of that, but he just doesn't have the ass for it yet. I mean, he's just a youth. And he'll get those baby deer legs. We'll get some meat on him here.
Hope so.
God will give him that gift, and then we'll start to see that back to the basket element for him. Way too many threes out of him. He did make a huge one to stifle the Germany pushback, but it's fine. It's the seasoning of he's a kid. I'm totally satisfied with it, Mahoney.
This is the start of something for him. And honestly, if we're going to talk about France's defense, a lot of it is predicated on having him behind them. And Gobert could have done some facsimile of that, but Wemby is that much more dynamic, that much ranger, that much more able to play up to the level, around screens and around various actions. And so the fact that you can be so physical and muck the game up the way that France has, a lot of that is because Wemby is there to cover for so much.
Well, and then they also gave 25 Rudy Gobert minutes to other guys in the team. And I don't even 100% blame him, because what is
there to blame him for? What has he done?
Well, because you just don't need him if you have Wemby.
That's what
There's no reason to have both guys. And Wemby's the future of the team. And Wemby's the guy everyone in France wants to see out there. And Wemby could have gone 2 for 35 and they weren't going to take him out of the fourth quarter. But he did enough good stuff defensively and with his hands and just being active and threatening. And you could see the guys. It's basically what we saw in the NBA season. Guys dribbling toward the basket, seeing him and doing like a double take.
My complaint is just that Wemby isn't old enough, mature enough, sophisticated enough with his basketball IQ to be a perimeter defender and let Gobert be the rim protector to be the basket stopper. And that's not a knock on Wemby. I just wish he was like 2 years ahead in his development so that we could see that version of the French defense.
That's the thing. It's not unreasonable to ask that of him. Like, he's going to be able to do some of that stuff at some point. That's what's so scary about his future.
So they got it to 6. They blew 3 straight possessions. They had, I think, 16 turnovers. But then France hits a 3 to cut it to 2, 39 seconds left. They get a stop. Franz gets the rebound and just can't keep it, and the momentum goes out of bounds. We were robbed of this awesome last 10 seconds of Germany with the ball down 2, which I'm sure Schroeder would have tried to create something. But I do feel like neutral site Germany wins that game. And I think the home court just to reinvigorate Evan Fournier, of all people, as this huge big game, you can count on him guy making shots like that should tell you all I need to know. I genuinely like Yabusele though.
He's been awesome.
I wonder what the other guy, I just like the Farid Montrezl thing, we've seen that. It can maybe work on the right team, but ultimately you're going to be able to patch stuff together. But it's not the kind of guy who could be in a 7-man rotation on a NBA team that could win the title. The stuff Yabusele does, I don't know. Like, could he be, what is he in the NBA, Rob? Is he like a 3-point shooting 3 who can bang and who can switch on D, but also maybe you can play small ball 4 with him? I just feel like he's actually an NBA rotation guy.
I think he's like, maybe not quite as good, but the model would be like a PJ Washington type player, right? Like a combo 3-4, can guard like a wide range of players, but he's a little more physical inside. I think that's the difference, is where Washington is a little more spot up. Yabusele can do that, but he can bang in there, and that's what makes him valuable. And honestly, what makes Lesor valuable too is these guys who don't just create space but know how to use it and capitalize on the fact that the lane is suddenly open, and if you just put a body into somebody, you can draw fouls or you can get layups.
Mahoney, what'd you see from Koulibaly today that excited you?
That's so rude.
Come on.
Oh, I forgot he was on the Wizards' house. My bad. I didn't mean to do that to you.
Is that necessary?
I'm sorry about that.
Koulibaly's good. I'm Team Koulibaly for the record. He's going to be a very important part of the French national team's future.
Okay, let's
not
talk
the Wizards.
Let's talk. let's talk out USA France. So like Yabusele, Lesor, these dudes that seem so great when they're going against Daniel Tice. Now they're going to be going against Embiid and LeBron and Bam Adebayo and Anthony Davis. And there's just way more size and length. And you're not going to see Lesor backing down people and doing 5-second drop steps. There's a case for France to hang around that doesn't involve home court advantage. I just don't know what it is, House. What is it?
I'm not going to be able to make it. Their guards stink. They're so bad. And Germany should have been in position to exploit that, but Schroeder had a bad game. So they couldn't take advantage of it. The US, I just, they can continue to get these banger buckets out of Yabusele and Lesor, and I just don't think it's enough. They just don't have the firepower. They can't do, the blueprint is what we just watched. It's the Joker controlling the ball, making the right play at the right time, and then just rain threes. French doesn't have that rain. The French just don't have it.
Well, you know who agrees with you, House? FanDuel, because USA is minus 15.5 for the gold medal game, which is only a point less than they were favored against Serbia. Is there a case, Rob?
I think the case is probably similar to what we saw in the way that it will have to be a very, very ugly game. That is France's model. Like the shooting will come and go for them sometimes. Like Courtney is a great example of that. Can shoot the lights out one game, absolutely wreck it the next. If guys like him are hot, if Evan Fournier is hitting enough of his like weird bailout threes at the end of clock on possessions that go nowhere, if you get enough of those things working for you and you're able to muck up the game, then yeah, we've seen you can throw Team USA off its axis a little bit. You can get those guys overthinking or over-deferring or whatever that ends up looking like in that moment. But having the Americans go through a test like this against Serbia helps iron out some of that stuff. Like the Americans will be in better shape to combat an ugly game now, having been through one, than they would have been otherwise. And so that's a really important trial for a team that honestly just hadn't really been tested yet.
So that's an interesting point because, BS, I don't think that what we just watched was necessarily an ugly game. It was high execution by Serbia from the 3-point line that really tilted the court.
Oh, no. That game was good. France,
but ugly
Germany
on the other
ugly.
side. I mean,
yeah, right. So my question is, the France's ability to muck things up, to make it ugly, comes from the physicality, their ability to play full court press, and it slows the game down because it takes all of the time to get started in the offense. I expect them to try and repeat that. How does the U.S. exploit it is my question.
By the way,
Podfather.
Serbia was doing that to the U.S. in this game, and they were exposing that U.S. was doing some weird shit with like Bam bringing the ball up, Davis bringing the ball up, Durant. Anytime anyone other than a real guard wasn't bringing it up, Serbia was just on those dudes, making them work. Even Edwards, they were attacking. So I assume France is probably going to borrow that one as well. I can't believe I'm saying this, guys. Kyle, don't turn the TikTok camera on. I think France has to start Gobert in this game.
Wow. This is the zag I never expected. I got to say.
I think I happened to watch Embiid score 70 points on Wemby, and it was an absolute evisceration. Now, it was also, unfortunately for Embiid, the highlight of his season, destroying a lottery team. Now he has the new highlight of the season, what he did against Serbia. But I thought he had a lot of confidence, and he has too much size for Wemby. And if they just start Wemby without starting Gobert too, I just think the U.S. is going to attack Wemby and try to put fouls on him. So if I'm France and we know Embiid is going to play like the first 5-6 minutes of the game, I'm probably playing Gobert for those first 5-6 minutes, and then bringing in Lasort and Yabusele together and trying to have them bang against Bam and AD. Is that crazy, Rob?
It's not crazy. I agree with you that Gobert is better suited to guarding Embiid than Wemby is. The problem is we also just went through a playoff cycle where the discussion for 2 weeks against the Nuggets was, oh, Gobert guarding on ball in the post against someone like Nikola Jokic doesn't work that great. It's better having him behind, roving. And so maybe that's the answer. Whether it's Wemby or Gobert on the ball, the combination of the two is what you want in terms of stifling a sort of low post presence. I don't know. Like, I hear you, and I think that's maybe the best option that they have available. I think getting more length on the floor, generally speaking, for protecting the rim will be very helpful for them. I just don't think it's going to matter very much. I think they give up too much in terms of, you put those guys on the floor, Joel's just going to take shots from the elbow anyway. Like, what will that do for you having Gobert guarding him in an instance like that?
Maybe you put Lasort on him and you do the thing that we saw some NBA teams where they use the 6'5", 6'6", sturdy guy and get like right basically in his chest, and maybe you do that way. I've already flip-flopped. Maybe Gobert doesn't play at all. You talked me out of it, Rob. Use Lasort and Yabusele and just get right into Embiid's grill and do it that way.
I like Gobert out there. They let him go huge. Start Wemby, Gobert, Yabusele, Lasort, and I don't know, put Batum can play guard. Go. But here's the thing that we must countenance. That whistle is going to be what do they say? Allez bleu? Whatever. It's going to be very maison à la cuisine. Cuisine à la maison. Home cooking whistle. So if they want to come out and be physical, I do believe that could be an element that we need to factor into how we assess this thing.
Are you saying this is going to be the first game that LeBron didn't get calls in since like 2008? Is that your prediction?
I didn't think that he got, he got appropriate calls in what we just watched.
I actually thought the refs were pretty fair in today's game.
Me too.
I didn't love Jokic's fourth foul.
Yeah.
I actually would have challenged that if I was Serbia.
They're not great, the refs in FIBA basketball generally, but they are kind of evenly not great, if that makes sense.
Right.
Excepting apparently France and the home cooking.
Yeah, I think it could be a little.
They're in their baguette on that one.
That Japanese for the 4-pointer against Japan, which is the single play that has us in this very situation.
Unbelievable.
Now. It's literally the reason why France is in the gold medal game. Yes, I do think that they're susceptible to home court pressure. That's all.
So, House, what do? We have France at plus 1,500, but a really hard hedge situation with U.S. as a 12-1 favorite on FanDuel.
It's expensive. I don't hedge a little.
That's a tough one.
Hedge a lot.
I don't even know. This is the problem with hedging. Hedging never works.
Sucks.
I thought before we go, I thought of something as we were talking about the Gobert thing. Just an amazing win for Embiid from where he was 3 weeks ago. And he looks thinner and in more shape. Like he clearly just fucked up. He came in, he wasn't in shape. Maybe he's in better shape. But we've gone from, this is where I was at the start of the tournament. Like, I wish Embiid wasn't on the team. I wish it was just Bam and AD as the centers. I wish they would give Tatum those minutes. I just think that's a better version of this team. And Embiid is just this weird piece that doesn't fit in with everything, to now thinking they really need him. And France is going to have to figure out how to match up with them. So when you think like that's how far we've gone with Embiid in 3 weeks, I'm going to say if you're going big winners for Team USA, it's him, it's LeBron. Curry is now back in the winner column. KD is even only 9 points today, but somehow gets the biggest basket of the entire game. And probably Booker. And definitely I think those Booker. And Drew Holiday, who had some good glue guy stuff that he had. Drew Holiday's, I forgot to mention, his defense for one stretch in the fourth quarter was like out of control.
Oh,
it
yeah.
looked like he was going against like the Mavs in the finals. Like he was at that level. But
Well, especially Derek White committed the glue guy mortal sin of fouling a 3-point shooter and won in
we
a way
never
that
saw him
almost
again.
blew
I
up
don't
the
think
game.
we saw him again. That was it.
You get the hook at that point.
We might not see him for the rest of the Olympics.
This is what's so dope about single elimination, though, is Joel has one game like this in a moment like that. And it erases kind of everything that came before. Like, who cares how you performed against South Sudan in the group play? Like, it just doesn't matter if you play like this when it matters.
And not only that, it might translate into the most impactful storyline for this upcoming basketball season. Because what he is learning, what he's getting out of these experiences with this group of guys,
Right.
And we've heard these stories, every 4 years you hear guys come from the Olympics and say, wow, that was something I didn't anticipate.
That changed the course of my career.
It changed the course of my career. And he really did look, he was the most nimble. When he went down after that dunk, after he beat the Joker, I was like, oh my God, he's dead. Because he fell down 3 times in the series against the Knicks, and it looked like he was hurt all over again. We weren't going to see him for another 6 months. But he was very, very good on his feet, and miraculously, it looked like he lost 10 pounds in 1 week.
It's the version of the James Harden 10-pound weight loss just out of nowhere, just from exercising.
But in Paris, the first man to ever go to Paris and lose 10 pounds. What's going on?
That's a good point. Yeah,
amazing.
I've had this podcast since 2007, and every 4 years we come out of the Olympics and we talk about these guys and how important this experience is. And Russillo always makes fun of me for it. But I really do think if you read the stories of the people the season after, like even Carmelo had the best year of his career in 2009, the best after he was on this team. LeBron went to a whole other level in 2009. Now that probably would have happened anyway, but he's credited being with Kobe. They did that in the Redeem Team documentary. There's that story about the guys were coming back from the club and Kobe was going the other way because he was going to work out at 5 a.m. Like, that's the kind of shit. Like, if you're Embiid, you joined a team. It was the process. They're intentionally trying to lose games for years. They don't care if you play or not. They're just trying to collect assets. They're not doing any sort of team building at all. And they've made excuses for him the entire time he was there. But the talent's always been there. He won an MVP. And if I'm a Sixers fan, I'm watching this going, this is the greatest this is way better than the Paul George signing. Like, whatever. We could just sign and bring in a new guy every year. It's never going to matter unless Embiid gets it. And I honestly don't know if he got it until maybe these last couple weeks. I loved what I saw today from him. Is that fair, Rob, or am I being too hard?
Too hard in terms of what?
To say this is the most impactful, maybe 2-week stretch for him as a player of his career.
That might be making a little more of it than it ends up being. But I do think these moments are important to players like Embiid. Like that's why him being as reactive jumps out to me. Like, this is clearly a game and a moment that was crucial for him, that he felt the weight of. And the fact that he felt it and succeeded, frankly, is not something he's done in the NBA very often. Like, he has had a great regular season performance. He's had great seasons. He's had great singular moments in playoff series, but they're first round series or their lower stake series. This was a game that the USA absolutely had to win, and they put the ball in his hands. And that vote of confidence means a lot, and him delivering means a lot. Whatever ends up happening for him in the Sixers next season, like I do think those are formative and instructive experiences for stars in his position.
Yeah, and House, part of the case for him maybe not totally getting it was how he showed up for the Olympics. I'm just going to throw that out there. I mean,
column A, little column B.
It's fair. It's a fair criticism. But look, man, to me, it changes the ceiling of that Sixers team. It always comes down to the same thing with them. Can he be healthy in April? Can Paul George be healthy in April? I wish we could fast forward to April and both guys were healthy. Then it would really be a super fun Eastern Conference playoff situation. But no, I'll just knock on wood and root for it because the Eastern Conference is so much better if both those guys are playing. And Joel's at this level. We just saw it. We know he's got it in him. He dropped a 50-piece on the Knicks so that they didn't, get swept out of that series. And here we have this Olympics game, and he does look capable of getting in shape. So fingers crossed.
That's where the Paul George part of it, I think, is nice too, of the idea that inching his team a little closer to not Team USA talent, obviously, but putting another star where he doesn't have to have the 50 and in some games can just be the closer and be in a position that in his career with the Sixers just never had the chance to do.
Last question before we go. So seeing what we saw from LeBron today, if you're the Lakers, does that make you change your mind at all about putting those picks on the table and trying to get a real third star?
I would already have put
not that they would have felt
yeah.
that way before, but so you say no either way.
No, I would have already put the picks on the table. Like I'm of the opinion if LeBron James, one of the greatest players to ever live, who's still this good, is on your team, you should be going forward hard all the time. That's how I think that should be navigated.
But that's not Jeremy Grant. It's somebody a notch above. So the move for them is if he can keep at this level, you wait until December and you see who's unhappy and you go all in. And that, you're not going to do it now because there's no guy now.
Who's it going to be though? It's Trae Young.
We don't know who the
and Zach
unhappy guy
LaVine.
is, but there might be another unhappy guy coming.
Yeah. Ideally a
the
guard
NBA.
for sure.
Giannis?
Giannis.
He's going to be unhappy.
He
Get
might
ready.
be.
Get ready. I know you don't think so, but get ready.
I hope it's not Jason Tatum.